Hey everyone, welcome to 996 The Howl for the uninitiated. This is an unedited YouTube vlog discussing everything Arizona Coyotes. It's happening. Formal training camps are underway. You know, we got the beat writers, the reporters, the journalists at Gila River Arena reporting what they see. They think the team's looking good, they're fast, they're enthusiastic. Some lineups, you know, rumors about what lines are being played. Derek Stepan and Michael Grabner haven't been cleared to play yet. They will be cleared. They haven't opted out of the play-ins, so they'll be playing. They're just not ready, and John Chayka can't say anything about their injury situation, if there even is one, due to the NHL controlling injury news for the next month, 3 months, whatever it is. So before we get into the playoffs, let's put a nice nightcap on the regular season, because officially the regular season is over. They're training for the play-ins. They're going to fly to their hub cities in about 2 weeks. So I never made a video on, you know, the leaders and the winners of the regular season in terms of Coyotes players. So let's get into it. These numbers will seem small because Coyotes are trash offensively, but just keep in mind that they only played 72 games. So, you know, just keep that in mind. So in points, you got Schmaltz winning points. Most points by players, Nikki Schmaltz, taking the throne away from Clayton Keller, who has been in both of his first years in the NHL. He led the Coyotes in points in both years. Freshman and sophomore season, Keller led the team in points, but he lost out to Schmaltz by 1 point. And I'm sure it's a healthy competition between both those young players. Schmaltz wins with 45 points, Keller at 44, and Connor Garland at 39 points, making $800,000 a year, coming third place on his team in points. Obviously, Taylor Hall won't be mentioned much in this video in terms of stats, so he'll be mentioned in one stat. But in terms of scoring stats, I mean, Hall didn't play much for the Coyotes. That's why he's not going to be in any of these stats, because other Coyotes players have played more games as a Coyote than Taylor Hall. So moving on to goals, we know Connor Garland won that title with 22 goals, and Keller came in third at 17. Dvorak came in at second with 18. So Garland, Dvorak, and Keller, top 3 goal scorers on the team. Nice to see Dvorak there. I was touting Dvorak to have a breakout season, and he looked like he was. He kind of slowed down a bit, but I'm sure if with the last 10 games of the season, his numbers would have been even more pumped up. So good to see Dvorak having a nice offensive year, and he needs to continue that. We need him to be a 20-goal scorer. He was 2 goals away. I'm sure he would have surpassed 20 goals if they finished the season. Moving on to assists, Schmaltz with 34 assists, and the first D-man mentioned in this video, Goligoski, with 28 assists. Good to see Goligoski get on the scoreboard. Surprised it's not OEL, who's more of an offensive guy than Goligoski and gets more time on ice than Goligoski. And rounding out the assists is Keller at 27. So Schmaltz 34, Goligoski 28, Keller 27. Even strength goals, we're going to get into the analytics here in a bit. Which there's a surprising even strength number in this category. You got Garland at 18 even strength goals out of his 22 goals. You got Keller with 15 even strength goals out of his 17 goals, and Lawson Krause with 14 even strength goals out of his total 15. So I mean his even strength goals compared to all of his goals are like 98%. So 98% of his goals are even strength. He doesn't get much power play time. This was an offensive breakout year for Krause. Would have liked him to finish the season as much as the whole team finished the full season. But, you know, 15 goals for Krause, 14 of them even strength goals. That's good to see Krause put up those numbers. I loved him this season. I know there's another gear in him, and he can hit it. Power play goals, our first mention of Philly Kessel. Phil Kessel led the team with 9 power play goals. Dvorak with 6, and Soderberg ties Dvorak with his 6 power play goals. Kessel, I mean, his whole reason to be on his team was to produce on the power play, and to see him lead the team in power play goals puts a smile on my face. Wish it was a bit more, but at least he did lead the team on the power play, which he was brought in to do. And game-winning goals, Garland with 5. Obviously, he had the most goals, so higher chance of him getting the most game-winning goals at 5. But Krause and Richardson with 3 goals each, 3 game-winning goals. Richardson only scored 6 goals this whole season, so half of them were game-winning goals. So keep an eye on Richardson in the play-ins and the playoffs. He's a clutch guy, scores clutch goals. He was injured most of the season, so he's back, he's healthy, he had surgery. So maybe he finds his scoring touch from last season where he scored like 18 goals or 19 goals or something ridiculous like that. Talking about defense, I don't want to leave the defense out too much. Goligoski led the Demon in 32 points. Oyel was second with 30 in terms of goals. Chychrun with 12 goals. Chychrun had an outstanding start to the season, and then I don't know what happened in like the new year. He kind of trailed off a bit, but 12 goals for the young defenseman. And second place is Oyel with 9, which is a step back from his career numbers. He's usually always around over 10 for sure. But this year he finished at 9. I'm sure if they finished the season, he'd have 10, but unfortunately it stopped at 9. So let's talk about Howl. He led the team in average time on ice with 19 minutes. And thank God Tocchet played him 19 minutes because Howl deserved it. He was one of the best forwards in the latter half of the season compared to everyone else. But there's some interesting names here. We got to talk about it here. Second and third place are Derek Stepan and Phil Kessel, 2 older vets. Stepan's not an old guy, but he's an older vet. We all see him as an older vet, not like a young guy like Keller or Schmaltz. But Stepan had 17 and a half minutes, second place, in terms of forwards, not counting defense. 17 and a half minutes, second place for Derek Stepan. And Phil Kessel at 17 minutes, third place for most forwards with time on ice. And with the report coming out that Kessel was injured all year, he didn't feel himself. He had an underperforming year. His words, why was Tocchet playing him 17 minutes a game more than the fourth place forward, which is Connor Garland at 14 minutes? So there's a 3-minute gap between Garland and Kessel, and I'm sure, yeah, Kessel was on the power play a whole bunch, but I mean, a 3-minute difference between your Kessel and your top goal scorer, Connor Garland, and your energizer Bunny. It makes me scratch my head. And no mention of Keller or Schmaltz in the top 4 for forwards on time on ice. Last year, Keller and Schmaltz played an average of 18 minutes, and this year they didn't even crack 14 minutes. So that also makes me think a bit. It's like, why aren't our young superstars playing more minutes? I'm happy Garland got more ice time than Keller and Schmaltz, but I feel like Keller, Schmaltz, and Garland should be your top 3. I understand Stepan's more of a defensive guy, but he's on the wrong side of age on this team. He's slower. I'm sure he plays the penalty kill a lot more, but I think there's a big discrepancy in over 3 minutes for Stepan and Kessel over Garland, Keller, and Schmaltz. So would I like to see Keller and Schmaltz get more minutes? Hopefully in the play-ins, Rick Tocchet throws them out more. But we'll see. Why isn't this video playing this whole time? This whole video, the video behind me hasn't been playing. Well, I'll let it go now. Clayton Keller's highlights for goals this past season. Let's talk about some deeper analytics in terms of point share, in terms of the estimated percentage of points a player contributed. Garland contributed about 5 points to the team, Keller with 4.4 points, and Dvorak with 4.3 points. So if you're looking at which forwards contributed the most points for the Coyotes this season, it was Garland, Keller, and Dvorak. So, you know, surprising how Stepan and Kessel aren't there, but Keller and Dvorak are there. They contributed to the offense, the most, and they were nowhere near the top 4 in time on ice, Keller and Dvorak. And then in terms of Corsi percentage, in terms of which forwards controlled the puck more on the team, Dvorak led the team in controlling the puck the most with 52.2%. So more often than not, Dvorak was controlling the puck than the opposition. Garland is just under him at 51.7%, and then Kessel and Keller were at 51.3%. So they're kind of all in the same realm in terms of possession. So you had Dvorak, Garland, Kessel, and Keller there. It's good to see Kessel holds the puck more than the opposition. I would have assumed it was the other way around, but apparently Kessel likes to control the puck more, and that's good to see. So I compared these stats from last season. I was trying to find, which players really didn't step up this year, and the glaring names comparing last year to this year was Vinnie Strozzi and Brad Richardson. Obviously Richardson, an older guy, kind of a fluke year last year. He scored about 18 goals. He was injured this year but played through his injury. But Vinnie Strozzi, a young, speedy guy who fits the mold of this team so well, and you're on a contract year. I mean, Vinnie Strozzi had 13 even strength goals last year. He had 16 goals overall last season, number 3 on the team last year, and nowhere near the stat leaders this season. It was a step back for Strozzi this year. I think all the fans feel that. He's great to watch. He's really fast and kind of like Connor Garland, but Garland's more gritty than Strozzi, I feel. But I mean, yeah, Strozzi really had a step back year. And in terms of points share, Strozzi led the team last year in terms of generating points, contributing points for the team. So I mean, he kind of fell off the map there. Also, Galchenyuk was in a lot of stats last season. This year, obviously, he got traded for Kessel, but Kessel basically only replaced him on the power play. They had the same amount of power play goals, Kessel and Galchenyuk. So it was kind of a wash there, but Kessel really didn't improve in terms of pure goal scoring. Galchenyuk was number 1 last year with 19, sorry. So Galchenyuk led the team last year with 19 goals, and Kessel did not, wasn't even in the top 3 this year in terms of goals. He did lead the team in power play goals like Galchenyuk, but even strength-wise, Kessel was not up to snuff, and hopefully he heals from all his injuries and his poor performance, and in the play-ins and playoffs, he gets to his playoff caliber and actually starts to produce 5-on-5 and even maybe produces more on the power play. So that's it for me. Just a recap on the stat leaders and where everyone finished on the team. It's good to talk about the Coyotes players again. It's good to say their names. Good to remember how they played. Good to, visualize and, kind of hope what's going to happen in the next 3 weeks, because the Coyotes play 3 to 5 games in a span of 1 week. I mean, they got a back-to-back against Nashville, I think August 3rd and 4th. But yeah, their play-in round with Nashville takes place over a course of a week if necessary. So, I mean, it's going to happen quick, fast. You got to watch all the games. You got to be into it. And hopefully they don't get swept, because that's a week of Coyotes hockey. Then you probably won't even see the Coyotes play hockey till December or January. So that's kind of the pessimistic look. But I'm down. I'm hyped for it. Just talking about these players kind of re-energizes me in terms of hockey. And we got to get it going here. So that's it for me. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your support.